You will always know which database you have open because the file path will be displayed at the top here. Hawkeye uses a .hawkeye.mdf database, which is a SQL local DB database. If you want to change the name of your database, do not change anything after the .hawkeye.mdf. That whole thing is the extension. So if you change the extension, Hawkeye won't be able to open the database. If I want to create a new database, I would go to File, New Database, and I would type the name of that new database here. For the sake of example, I will type in the name New Database as my new database. You will see at the top the name of this database and where it is located. Now, in a fresh database, what I probably want to do first is rename the field/company. I would do that by right-clicking on the field level and then selecting Edit Field Data. Most users will name the field after the operator. So in this case, I'll just call it operator. The next step down is the project level. This is the most important level to get correct. So I would right click on this, select Edit Project, and then from here I would name this project. The safety rule set is a translation of separation factor to a range of numbers of 1 through 5 or 1 through 4. It's a way of quickly assessing separation factor issues without having to deal with the actual separation factor numbers, which can be a little bit abstract. Linear units are for measurements below surface. Geodetic units are your surface location measurements. The north reference is something that you want to get correct right off the bat. You can always change the north reference later on, and the program will either keep or convert your azimuth values, but this could end up causing problems if you change it later down the line. Set Project Geodetics is a surface location definer, and although this is covered in another video, very succinctly, it's broken down into several sections. First, you have to pick your map group, then you select your state and your county, and then hit Set. If you have a state and county and you hit Set, your system and datum will be picked for you. If you're outside of the United States, you're going to pick your group, and then you will manually pick out your system and your datum. The final step is to input your location either by grid or by lats and longs, and then hit Save and Exit. After you've put all of this in, you just hit Save, and you'll now have a project. The next level down is the structure or pad. To rename this, you right click and select Edit Platform Pad, and in this case I'll just call this Rig 2A elevation. Now the location of the pad is not actually important. What is important is the next level down. So I'll just leave the location as is. And the next level down is the slot wellhead. So I'm going to right click on slot wellhead and select Edit Slot Wellhead. This is vitally important that we get correct. So this is the hole in the ground where we start any given well. In this case, I will call it wellhead 1, and we have to make sure that we get the default RKB or rig floor height correct here. So in this case, for example, I'll put in 31 feet. The site error is the amount of error of location of the actual wellhead. So the default is 3 feet, but if you know it to be different, you can change it here. Now there are 3 ways to define a wellhead's location. You can define it by local offsets. So local offsets are based on reference slots. In this case, this wellhead 1 is my reference slot, so this is kind of irrelevant. Then I can define it in absolute location by northings and eastings or lats and longs. So once I've defined it in one of these ways, I would just hit OK, and then my wellhead would be positioned. Under each wellhead, I have my curves, my work curves, and my proposal curves. If I want to create a new curve, I right click on the wellhead, and then I select Add New Well Path. So if I want to add a new wellhead, I would actually right click on the structure and then select Add New Slot Wellhead. Likewise, if I want to create a new structure, I would right click on Project and then select Create New Platform Pad for Project. And then finally, if I want to create an entirely new project, I would actually right click on the field/company and select Add New Project. So let's do that. Let's add a new project. I'm going to go through all the same steps of what is this project name, what is my safety rule set, my units, my north reference, my elevation, and my RKB. I'm going to go to Geodetics, and of course I will set my location here, and then hit Save and Exit, and then OK. And then notice over here in the data tree I have a project B. Project B will be open while project A is then closed. That's because in Hawkeye, you can only have one project open at a time. Projects are basically collections of wells which may potentially have a collision issue with each other, even in the remotest. If two wells have 0% chance of possibly colliding, they definitely need to be in separate projects, at least as far as Hawkeye is concerned. And that's because of the limitations of the rendering of the 3D space, which can be very resource consuming on a computer if you're trying to render wells that are dozens of miles away from each other.